Alright, so we're going to talk about angles of elevation and depression. So first thing, excuse me, we're going to make a diagram to distinguish between those two. So let's say you have a person here, and you have an airplane up here. Oh, that's a pretty bad looking airplane. Alright. So if I draw a horizontal line even with this person's eyeballs, and this person looks up towards the airplane, him looking up, this forms an angle of elevation. So the word elevate means to lift up, an elevator. Now, granted, elevators go both up and down, but the word elevate means to lift up. So an angle of elevation is always going to start, have an initial ray that's horizontal. So you're going to start horizontal and then go up. That will always be an angle of elevation. Alright. What if I wanted to know the angle that the plane formed with this person's eyesight here? So if I was even with the plane and then I went down, this angle is an angle of depression. Now, it does not mean that the angle has mental health issues, but the formation of that word, there is a relationship. When we say that a person is depressed, it means they are feeling down, right? And when an angle of depression, it literally means you're pressing down. So you're starting at a horizontal, and then you're pressing down and creating an angle of depression. So we're going to be solving word problems that involve angles of depression and angles of elevation. So we're going to do an example together. And we're not going to write out the whole story. I'll read you the story and then we'll kind of jot down important facts. A ground crew worker who is 6 feet tall, okay, so he's 6 feet tall, is directing a plane on a runway. If the worker sights the plane at an angle of elevation of 32 degrees, what is the horizontal distance from the worker to the plane? The plane is currently at a height of 150 feet. Alright, so we're going to sketch what this is saying. So I'm going to put my worker guy right here. Worker person, male, female, crew worker. And this person is 6 feet tall. And then there's a plane up here. The plane is 150 feet to the ground. The question is asking me the distance from here to here, so that's X. And it said the ground crew worker who is 6 feet tall is directing a plane on a runway. If the worker sights the plane at an angle of elevation of 32 degrees, so from his eyeball, from their eyeballs up to the plane, that's 32 degrees from a horizontal. So I got to draw a horizontal even with his eyes. So that angle right there is 32 degrees. So if the plane to the ground is 150 feet, and if the person is 6 feet tall, what is this distance here? 144. Now, obviously, like, his eyes are not right on top of his head, so, but we won't worry about that little bit of 2 inches probably. We're going to account for that. So that's 144 feet. So now, do you see that what we're looking at is this right triangle here. So I've got a right triangle, and this distance from the crew worker to the plane, this X is the same as that X there. And I'm just going to cross out this 150 and the 6 feet because we're not using them anymore. We used them to get the information that we need. So now I'm going to label my right triangle. Across from my 30 degrees, that's the opposite. Where the X is, that's the adjacent. So which trig function has opposite and adjacent? Tangent. So I'm going to put tangent of 32 degrees equals opposite 144 divided by X. That's how I'm going to set this one up. Now I'm going to solve it. So the first thing I want to do is eliminate this fraction. So I'm going to multiply both sides by X. This X is dividing, so I'm going to multiply it. Sometimes my X will be right there, sometimes a number will be right there and my X will be on the top. But what I'm doing is I'm multiplying by what's in the denominator so that these will divide out. And now I'll have X times tangent of 32 degrees equals 144. Now I want to get X by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by tangent of 32 degrees. Tangent of 32 divided by tangent of 32 is 1, no matter what it is. And so then on my calculator, I'm going to do 144 divided by the tangent of 32 degrees. It's about 230.4 feet.
It's only 50 cents.
Alright, you always want to make sure then that your answer makes sense. So first of all, what would happen if you got a negative answer here? That would not make any sense at all, right? You're measuring a length, it can't be negative. Alright, this is 32 degrees. How much is this angle then? What does the triangle add up to? 180. You already got 90 there, right? 58. So the angle, the side across from 32 should be less than the side across from 58, right? So it does make sense that our answer is greater than 144, right? You just always want to check that your math makes sense.